Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm your main show host, Dominic Moller, and we have a fun show planned for you today. We're going to be talking, of course, the World Series and the MLB playoffs as a whole, and then we're going to be cycling it over to talk NFL, some of the big quarterback matchups, and then, of course, segment 3 is the top 5. But we're not going to spoil too much of the show because we want you to stick around. You're not going to miss any of it. Hitting the Field starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am joined by, I'm going to call them the MLB aficionados over here. Whenever I talk MLB, they're always on the show. It's, of course, Ron Perretti and John Warner. Now, first, guys, before we get into the World Series, we're going to talk our predictions just a little bit. Who did you predict to make that? Because this was from last show. Who did you predict to make the World Series and win it?
So I thought it was going to come down to the Houston Astros and either the Philadelphia Phillies or the Atlanta Braves, but it turns out it was neither. I was 0 for 2 in my predictions. The Rangers and D-backs shocked the world and pulled the upsets in both rounds, the championship series, to advance to the World Series.
Yeah, and I originally thought the Orioles were going to win, then I thought the Phillies, so I'm just going to not predict that anymore. And Ron, of course, you predicted the Astros too.
I predicted the Astros, but I did predict the Diamondbacks, so I did get one win. I went 50%. So I got one win out of the two, but yeah, I thought the Astros were gonna make it, but the Rangers just demolished them back at home again.
Well, now we're going to talk about the actual World Series. The Texas Rangers defeat the Arizona Diamondbacks in 5 games. Now, Ron notoriously said it before. He said this was probably one of the most boring World Series as he can remember. Now, John, I'm going to go to you first. Do you agree with Ron that it really was just a boring series overall, or do you find your own way to watch it?
So I do not think it is the most boring World Series of all time. There are several sweeps that were way worse than this. At least, if nothing else, this one had an all-time classic in Game 1 that featured the heroics of Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia to tie the game in the 9th and then hit a walk-off in the 11th inning. That was an all-time classic World Series games, but after that, there was not a single lead change for the rest of the series. Games 2 through 5, the team that scored first won the game every single time. So for that reason, I do think that the MLB season kind of went down without a whimper. It was kind of a snoozer to end it.
Yeah. And Ron, over to you. What do you think about the series?
Yeah, I'm not going to say of all time, but I do think in my lifetime since being a baseball fan, I think it's the most boring World Series that I've watched. Like you said, no lead changes. I believe it was Game 4 that the Rangers were up like 10-0 in the 3rd inning, right? Like it wasn't, at least if it was 1-0, maybe 2-0, like where it had hope. But it just felt like after Game 2, the Rangers were just stomping all over the Diamondbacks. And into Game 5, I think Game 5 had a decent little start with Zach Gallen having an amazing start. But overall, I just don't think there was that emotion that you feel, like that nervousness that you're like, all right, maybe Arizona could get back into this if they had one good inning. And, I think that's what was missing. And it was one of the lowest rating, I think, one of the lowest watched World Series in the last 20 years. So I think not only me and not only like yourself, but I think a lot of people felt the way, like the excitement that we had for this baseball season just kind of went downhill towards the end.
Yeah, and John, as you previously mentioned, Corey Seager being the big heroics. Now, Corey Seager ends up winning his 2nd World Series MVP with his 2nd team. Now, do you guys think he deserved it? I know you mentioned his heroics, or do you see somebody else that probably should have earned it more?
So I think at the end of the day, it was either between Corey Seager or Marcus Semien. They both had big moments. But I think really the story here is that Adolis Garcia did not get the flowers that he so rightfully deserved. He was ALCS MVP for the Rangers, and for good reason. He put the team on his back and looked to be on the track to do so yet again in the World Series. But he got hurt in Game 3 and was ultimately removed from the World Series roster, so that basically nullified any chance of him winning World Series MVP. But definitely deserved by Corey Seager. Felt like every single time the Rangers needed a big hit, he came up with just an absolute moonshot of a home run. So definitely deserved by Corey Seager. I mean, good for him to showing why the Rangers paid the big money to get him.
Yeah. And Ron, over to you.
he felt like he took over that Garcia spot in the World Series. Like every time he was up, they didn't want to pitch to him, right? Like you could tell, like he became the guy in the series, and I'm really happy for him because when he decided to leave, LA for Texas, people were like, oh, it's the money, whatever. But he saw the project, and ultimately in 2 years he got the World Series ring and the World Series MVP, and the Dodgers still haven't gotten back to the World Series, right? So I think I'm happy for him, and I think he was undoubtedly the World Series MVP.
Yeah, and speaking of the project, it's ultimately, we're going to talk next about the man who put the project into motion. We're, of course, going to talk about the manager, Bruce Bochy, who many say that this could be him leading this team to possibly winning it. It's not just the talent itself. Now, John, over to you. I know you're a big Bruce Bochy guy. John, what do you have to think about Bruce? Did he really impact this series that well?
I think he did, because going back and looking at Bruce Bochy's track record, this guy is a winner. He has won at every single stop. Looking back to his time with the Padres, took them to their most recent World Series appearance in 1998. Leaves San Diego, goes to division rival San Francisco, and what does he do? Wins 3 World Series in 2010, 12, and 14. So this guy's a winner. He shows up at Texas, took a team that only had 68 wins last year, a team well below 500. No one thought was going to make any noise. What does he do? He comes in and not only makes the World Series, wins it. So I don't think the steady hand of a guy like Bruce Bochy can be understated. I think having a manager that's been there, that's done it, and won all there is to win in baseball, I think that helps the lineup tremendously, because you heard so many stories in the game about how no matter what happened, if the Rangers had lost 5 games in a row or if they won 5 in a row, he was the same guy. He never changed his tune no matter what. And I think especially for a young team like Texas that had a lot of impact from young players such as Evan Carter, having a guy like that in there, just the importance of that cannot be overstated.
Yeah.
He's tied for 4th all-time with 4 World Series rings, one of only 6 people to do that.
Yeah, and I think you think he's the GOAT right now. You think he's one of the best of all time. Now, Ron, do you kind of agree with that analysis? You agree that Bruce Bochy's this great manager?
I do, and not necessarily that. I mean, last year, this same Texas team, I mean, they added a couple pieces, right? But they didn't go 500. I think this year, obviously, Texas got off to a really hot start, had a really bad post-All-Star method. They actually, I think they became the first team to lose 8 games in a row and then win 8 games in a row. That kind of goes to what he was saying, where you lose 5 in a row, you win 5 in a row, you're still the same manager. And I think he did that, and I think that's very smart for him. Or I think that just makes him, it kind of speaks to what coach he is, to be able to keep a team that's young after losing 8 in a row, right? They gave up the number 1 seed to the Astros, to the Mariners in the West, and then they were able to come back and kind of get that piece back. They didn't win the division, but, they kind of stayed on track. Also, winning every single road game in the playoffs, it's something that should be talked about for a great manager, right?
That's a great point, yeah.
Sometimes managers, right, I just have these great teams and the offenses are on fire, but to be able to go on the road on every single stop and not lose a game, for a young team, I think it just shows what type of manager he is, what he's saying, what he's just telling the team to motivate this team, right, to keep them on track. And I think that just shows how good of a manager he is, and obviously, like what he was saying, he won in San Francisco 3 in 6 years, which is incredible, and now he just won in Texas. So, great manager. I do agree with that.
Well, now we also.
I was going to add to that and just say that his bullpen management too was just absolutely flawless. I know managers, even though it's not necessarily their fault, when the guy comes in and blows the game, oh, he shouldn't have put him in. The manager's to blame, but it seems like every button he pushed was the right one. The Rangers bullpen was absolutely almost flawless the entire series, especially with navigating the back end with Leclerc and Chapman. I know Chapman gets a lot of hate for kind of being a postseason choker, but it seemed like Chapman was always put in positions where he was in the right spot. And so I think Bochy deserves a tremendous amount of credit for using a guy like Chapman, because we all know he can be a weapon, right?
Yeah.
He throws like 104 miles an hour.
Yeah, he was great, yeah.
Right, so using him in a situation that fits not only his needs, but the team's needs as well, I think is a big part of being why he's one of the best managers in Major League Baseball.
And one last point to add to that, I don't know, remember, and again, against the Astros in Game 5, Leclerc blew the game to the Astros, right? Game 6, in a trouble situation, he puts Leclerc back in that same situation. Leclerc comes in, gets a save, gets the team out of trouble. And I think that just shows the trust and how the players feel when you can put a player in that same position to redeem himself. And I think that's what made this Texas Rangers team, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just a quick touch on, we're not going to talk too crazy about it. It's the way too early predictions. Who is going to the World Series and going to win it next year? Just a quick team. Who do you think wins it next year, John? Way too early, we know.
I'm going to be a homer and say the Atlanta Braves. I think they've already shored up some of their bullpen. Their lineup's coming back. Every single guy on the roster is under contract. That's an impact player. So they're in as good a position as any team to make another run at it.
Yeah. Ron, over to you.
Hear me out. This camera right here. I'm going to make a big prediction. Chaim Bloom is out. The wall is ready to go. The Boston Red Sox are going to win the World Series next year. Shohei Ohtani's coming to Boston. We're getting all the pitcher help. That offense is going to come back. Write it right now. 2024 Boston Red Sox World Series champions.
And I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs just because why not?
Dansby Swanson.
Yeah,
Dansby
Swanson is him. And that is all the time we have. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with segment 2. So stick around.
So, Tyler Brown, right? It says in my notes you're an Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So, let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
You want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
I just want to know if you want to talk about Lincoln Riley.
You listen here, you court-ordered quack. You mentioned
Everybody,
that.
and welcome back. Joining the desk, we have Nick Cohen and Luka Costa.
What's up?
Now, we're going to get right into it because we're not going to waste any time. We're going to be talking about the duos that faced off this weekend. Duo quarterbacks, I'd like to say. These two quarterbacks that, we like to see. These are some of the best quarterbacks.
Well,
and at
actually,
the end,
3 of them. There's only 3 of them we like to see.
well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. We're going to talk also at the end. We're going to rank them then after that.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay, so first matchup of the weekend, of course, over in Frankfurt, was Tua versus Patrick Mahomes. Now, Nick, you're a Dolphins fan.
I am.
So I know this hurts you because it showed the Dolphins a little bit being a fraudulent organization a little bit here. But Mahomes ends up winning it, and the Dolphins almost came back, but I don't think that's a big sign for Tua to play. But, Nick, I'm going to go over to you, man. How do you feel about that game as a Dolphins fan?
So I've been hesitant to say that the Dolphins are fraudulent, but I think it was proven this weekend. In Germany, that game was a home game for the Chiefs. I mean, Dolphins were getting booed the entire time. Tua had 193 passing yards and a touchdown. Mahomes, 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. Neither of them had an interception. Both played great games. It was honestly a battle of the defenses, which we didn't think it would be. We thought it would be a shootout. But Mahomes did get the best of him.
Yeah, and I also think Tyreek Hill's fumble impacted a lot.
That was so rough.
I'm just going to say, I don't think he had possession of it. As soon as he caught it, it was already
kind of bobbling around.
I mean, obviously it's too late for that, but I don't think he had possession.
And Luka, what do you think about Tua versus Mahomes?
I was fun fact, the Chiefs elected to play the game in Germany because they didn't want Tyreek Hill to come home to Kansas City and get booed.
Which happened anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But we never knew what was going to happen, but I think that's big on the Chiefs. But I think all around, it was, I thought the Chiefs were going to win going into this game, despite their loss in Denver. Because if you think about it, they're going to lose to a team like Denver, and then remember that they have to play the Dolphins in next week, and they're going to come out angry. So I thought that after that loss in Denver, there was no shot they were going to lose this game, regardless of how bad they played. It was always going to be a wake-up call for them. But I think Tua missed a couple of big throws. He had Cedric Wilson wide on the outside, underthrew him severely. People are saying it's a miscommunication. I don't know a single quarterback in the entire NFL who throws a floated ball on a comeback route or anything like that. So absolutely missed throw by Tua. Like you said, a battle of the defenses in a game where Jalen Ramsey's first game back, second game back maybe actually. Maybe
I think it was. I think
second game back.
yeah.
And coming in, but after the bye, I think the Dolphins defense could be serious. The Chiefs defense has been very good all year, but Travis Kelce irrelevant in the game, which is really good.
There.
That's true. That's true. So I think it was a really good showing for the Dolphins defense despite the loss. But
Yeah.
I think it was more of a disappointing show for the offense than anything.
I think the big thing with Tua is his arm strength. I don't
It's
think
very questionable.
It is a
man.
very questionable kind of role. Also, Jalen Waddle got injured early. He came back, but
Still did pretty good.
yeah.
I don't know.
I gotta say, Waddle is just
not that.
He's
He's not that good.
he's on my
No,
fantasy.
he's good, but he's not the same level as his rookie season. Where
Yeah, I
he
agree.
set the Dolphins' rookie receiving record. I mean,
Exactly.
he's still good, just not the same level. And I feel like that game for the Dolphins, even though they were losing the entire game, it was kind of their game to lose. Like they were in control at the end. And then
Yeah.
the botched snap. We all saw
That
Waddle was
was-
wide open, had to have caught the ball. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, and Waddle. The thing with Waddle is his health is always a question.
That's exactly what I was
He's
gonna say. Yeah.
And all these games were great, honestly. These were some great games over the weekend. They were great, very close games. And going to the next one, which I think was probably the best game of the weekend
100%.
between, just the choices we have. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Luka's Eagles won.
That was a heartthrob, dude. That was.
They almost choked. CeeDee Lamb was 5 yards short on the last play. And choking to Dak Prescott, I will have to say this, and this is going to be crazy.
Don't say
I
that.
do
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
think
Be careful
that
what you-
Dak in this game, and I don't like Dak. Don't get me wrong. I don't like Dak
Yeah.
because he ruins my whole fantasy vibes.
Yeah.
But I do think Dak outplayed
Absolutely,
Hurts
100%.
this game.
100%. And that's so hard for me to say because Dak Prescott is actually the worst quarterback in the NFL, but it's okay. We're going to let it slide. He's not actually, guys, but,
Yeah.
he had a good game, 374 yards, 29 for 44, 3 touchdowns. If this guy just knew, if this guy was a little bit competent at running, just knew how to keep his big toe in bounds, we would have lost that game. One thing I will not stand for is the people complaining about the calls made in the game. Yes, there were missed calls. There's been missed calls all year in every single game for every single team. No team gets more calls than another team. I feel like in that game at least, maybe a little bit on the hold on Michael Parsons, which was a big one that was missed. But right after that, literally the next drive, we had a false start. We had a flag in the backfield. They got down to the 11-yard line and didn't score. So there was chances for the Cowboys to come back and win this game and prove themselves, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But I do think the Eagles definitely could have played a little bit better, but they didn't play a bad game.
They didn't play a bad game. I think both teams played a really good game.
Yes.
I think it was, that Dallas defense is ridiculous. I just think their offense always kind of sets them back, which I think Dak played well, but Hurts also played it was very systematic. He played.
That's
to
true,
the
but
system.
he's playing on an injury right now, though. What do you think?
Yeah,
Nick?
I mean, since we're talking about quarterbacks, Hurts, I feel like just had a Hurts game. Like he didn't
Yeah.
have
He's not a
million
flashy,
passing yards. He didn't have a
like-
million passing touchdowns. He was just pretty good passing and had a good game running as well. Dak, as we said, outperformed him, but Dak won't outperform every week. I mean,
Exactly.
like 374 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He's not going to do that every week.
No.
He's on. That's probably the last time he does it in the next 4 weeks. And by the way, AJ Brown had an off game, so we
Which
beat.
it wasn't even an off game.
Exactly. We
That's just
beat
his
we
standards.
beat a team that played great with a great defense, and our best player didn't even perform.
Yeah, and Nick, what do you think about Hurts? Do you think he stays as this kind of systematic quarterback, or do you see him with that injury kind of taking a step back now?
I would definitely put that game a little bit on the injury, just because if you take like last season, for example, where Hurts was definitely an MVP, probably top 3 voting, I can't remember, but
He's still up there, but
I mean, he's probably still up there, but he's not having the same season as last year.
Of course.
I would say he's
Which
not
is
a
fair.
system quarterback. It's not like the 49ers. Jalen Hurts, not a system quarterback, still a great quarterback. Just the injury definitely. The bye this week is definitely going to help them.
Yeah, the bye
yeah,
is
that's
definitely going to be clutch.
so blessed. That's so blessed. And honestly, I was gonna maybe this is. Do you guys feel like there's been any quarterback who's really been like playing amazing this year?
I do think consistently.
I feel like honestly, Lamar he's 7-2. Has had a couple good games in a row. I don't know how consistent that is, but I feel like there's not been a great, amazing quarterback this year.
Well,
honestly. I don't know.
there has been, but he wasn't there for the first couple weeks. It was kind of crazy. But before we actually get into the Joe Burrow talk, I actually like what you brought up. The referees kind of impacting the game a lot this year. We're seeing this in multiple sports. I just want to segue real
Yes,
quick.
man.
It's also being documented a lot in soccer,
Yes,
the
bro.
Premier League. So
Oh
why
my-
are referees this year in multiple sports? I don't know why it's such a big problem in sports this year, but it's just been horrible.
I don't know if you watched the Arsenal versus Newcastle game. Joe Linton put both of his hands into the back of a center back, jumped over him, headed it, and somehow it wasn't a foul. But it's okay. I'm gonna let it slide,
Yeah.
bro. Ron's
But-
over here L dancing me, bro. Okay.
But
Okay,
that's
fine.
just referees.
fun?
There was a lot of missed calls.
It's
in
a
the
very
Eagles.
tough job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's their only job.
Yeah.
So I feel like, practice it a little bit and just be better. It's a tough
Yeah,
job.
we haven't
like-
seen it this crazy. But now we got to go over to the Joe Breezy talk. Joe Burrow
Joe
against
Shiesty.
Josh Allen, prime time last night, and Burrow wins a close one against Josh Allen. Now, I don't know. I think the Bills are more fraudulent on this one.
100%.
But Burrow just wakes up. You guys did not believe in Burrow. I've been saying
I
this
believed
forever.
in him from day one.
You remember whenever
I said
a lot
that
of
the
people didn't,
Bengals,
though.
when I did my top 5, I said the Bengals will be, at the very beginning of the year, I said that they will be waking up midway through the season. It always happens. I don't know what it is.
That's true. You did call that.
Yeah.
You know what else is crazy? Remember when I said the Jets could finish top of their division and everyone said I was insane? Yeah, the Bills
They're
suck.
second.
Yeah. The Jets are a quarterback away from being top of the division, and the Dolphins have been underwhelming, to say the least, in the games that matter. So,
Hey, I
but
said
what,
the
but
Jets
what
would
do
win
I
too.
know? I just be talking, I guess.
But we have to talk about this game also. Burrow outperforms Josh Allen, who
Yep.
many say Josh Allen has actually been the best quarterback this
Absolutely not.
year. Now,
Is that really?
He was the MVP. Not anymore. He was the MVP front runner. He's not anymore.
He lost to the Patriots. How can he be MVP
I-
front runner
that-
after
that's
losing
what
to
it
the
was.
Four other
That's what it
teams
was.
or
It was
three other-
the Patriots
Really
lost that
lost
put
to
him
the
back.
Patriots, dude.
But obviously Mahomes is still number one.
Yeah.
I just feel like Mahomes isn't having his best year. But Burrow against the Bills. What do you have to think about Burrow vibes with Joe Breezy? You think he's coming back? He's back in his MVP form, or do you think he reverts? Like this is the time to revert.
He's back. He was gone for a little bit, but he's back. 348 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I traded for him in fantasy for a reason. I bought low on him. He's playing great. I mean,
Yep.
him and Jamar Chase, they're never not gonna have a good connection.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the season started rough, they're back.
You know what Jamar Chase said? I'm always open. That's why you gotta, hey, bro. That's why
24/7.
my fantasy team name is Burrow Time, bro. It's really Burrow Time. I'm telling you, bro. That guy is cold, man. He plays good when he needs to play good. I think the real topic of discussion is the fact that the Bills are not who everyone says they are. I feel like people knew, well, maybe not knew, but the Bengals started slow last season. They weren't really amazing out the gate last season. I'm
No,
pretty
they were
sure.
not, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They picked it up, but the Bills year in year, again, they've declined. Like, how many times does Joe Burrow have to beat these guys for people to understand that Josh Allen and the Bills are not that good? Like, I really don't get it.
I don't think
but-
so. The Bills weren't looking that good throughout the whole regular season this year, especially before, they started winning pivotal games. I thought the very first game against the Jets was kind of that, where the Bills regressed a lot. They lost a good amount on defense, but I just felt like it was also the whole culture of the team. Josh Allen lost a lot of respect in that locker room. Stephon Diggs wasn't
Yeah,
on his
no,
side.
that's
Josh
very
Allen's a
true.
turnover machine.
Bro,
Had another
exactly.
interception
Bro,
last
I'm
night.
telling you, he's a Brett Favre that can run, bro. That's it. He's just Brett Favre with legs,
here
dude.
for it, too.
Like, I'm telling you, and the sad part is I want to like this guy, I really do. But
Not really.
when people, well, maybe not. But your case is a little different. But when people are constantly putting this guy into this limelight, like he's this god, it makes no sense.
Well, I'd like him on the Bears. Let's be real here.
But to be honest, bro, you guys would probably
I'd like him on
take
the
anyone on the Bears.
Dolphins.
You guys take Joshua Dobbs right
Yeah.
now, bro. I'm not gonna lie. What Josh Dobbs is doing in Minnesota, bro. Shout out Josh Dobbs, man. That boy putting on for the city. Shout out Josh Dobbs.
Hey, what about Badger? We almost got a dub with the Bears over there.
Dude, that man had three
wanted them to win.
INTs, bro. I'm telling you, you could have put a garbage guy out there who did the same thing that Badger did. Hey, but his dad's the arm wrestling champion, though, guys. Oh my God, his guy's arm wrestling champion.
But that's all the time we have for this segment. Stick around because segment 3, we're going back with a top 5, and it's going to be the top 5 best NFL catches of the past 10 years. So stick around. We'll see you soon.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Dominic Moller, and welcome to Hitting the Field Network. Our first show that you're going to see on YouTube is Hitting the Field Main Show, hosted by yours truly on Mondays at noon, where you'll see me with a fresh fade and fresh news. I'll also be talking a little bit of the hottest topics in sports, and we are going to be arguing mainly on there. On Tuesdays at noon, you'll see Isaiah De Anda Delgado and Ty Patton on the Combine. Just more of a podcast, laid-back style of a show. And if you're looking for the most creative segment ideas, head on over there on Tuesday. On our off day, don't forget to check out the studio vlogs on Wednesdays. Andrew Montano does a great job of giving a little bit of the behind-the-scenes look into hitting the field. Moving to Thursdays, speaking of Andrew Montana, him, Philip Powell, and Ezra Hines lead the way on HTF Bets. The Bets boys always come dressed to impress, and if you're looking to win some money and catch up on the latest betting lines, that's the show for you. On Fridays, you're gonna head over and see Maddie Glass and the always wrong Tyler Brownrigg on Nighttime to break down everything about college sports. If you go to UCF or are interested in UCF sports, this is the best place for you. Sorry, Tyler. Our newest show here at Hitting the Field on Saturdays is Girl Talk, hosted by Kirsten Blaylock and Lexi Zolo. The all-female hosted show tackles breaking news all across the sports world, and as well, reliving the history and current state of your favorite team. Check that show out Saturdays at noon. Again, I am your main show host, Dominic Moller, and if you're enjoying this content, don't be afraid to subscribe to our Hitting the Field YouTube and check out our Instagram. But for now, that's all. I'll see you on main show.
Everybody, and welcome back. And of course, for segment 3, as we always do, it's going to be a top 5. But first, we have to go mobile. For this top 5, I was thinking, I originally was going to do hoop mixtapes. Shout out Maddie Glass. But we had to audible. Am I about to do a little double dutch with this thing? But of course, I had to do something NFL related. So we decided to do the top 5 NFL catches of the past 10 years. Now we're switching it over to the board. Sorry. It's the top 5 NFL catches. Shout out Jack, the camera operator. That was the best camera work I have ever seen. He was crashing, and it was like a little bit of some NASCAR racing getting through that camera, but he did it. We're going to start. Top 5 NFL catches. At number 5 is, of course, going to be the D-Hop catch against the Buffalo Bills, who we were talking about being a fraudulent organization. And this is crazy because of this significance. He mosses 3 Bills defenders to catch this. Well, you'll see from a better angle soon. But like I said, this is D-Hop in his prime. One of his primes. Because he was decent on the Texans, but he was also good on the Cardinals. Kyler Murray comes back. We could see this Cardinals team maybe awake. I highly doubt this, but this is a 5th catch in my mind in the past 10 years. This isn't of all time. This is past 10 years. And, of course, number 4, we keeping it cold. It's icy out here. And all my Patriots fans, I know you love this. To complete the comeback, Julian Edelman, concentration personified, and one of the craziest bobbled catches we have seen. I know every Patriots fan we have on set is hype right now, but this is big because, as you can see from here, I don't think it was as appreciated when it first happened, but look at this bobble. That bobble is a centimeter from touching the ground, and Julian Edelman is able to reel it in. It's not just a one-handed catch that we all like to see. It's just a perfect catch to ultimately win them the Super Bowl and complete one of the best comebacks, I think, in sporting history. And Julian Edelman is that guy. Tom Brady was that guy to throw that, too, in a spot where only Julian Edelman could really catch it. But, like I said, it's a little bit crazy. I don't think we have any Falcons fans on set, but if you are a Falcons fan, you don't like that catch. You want that gone. Number 3, this is one of my favorite ones. This is George Pickens' catch. This is one of my favorite ones. I know it doesn't get as much love as it kind of should in my mind, but George Pickens to catch this is crazy, man. This is one of the craziest catches that I've seen live. I was watching this game live, and he caught that, and I was instantly like, and throughout the whole game, Pickens didn't have any other catches. That was like his first catch of the game. We were like, this is rookie year George Pickens. We were instantly shocked. Number 2, we're going to be going over to, this is shout out Jack, camera operator, and Tyler. This is going to be a Jay Jettis catch that ultimately won them the game. I mean, 4th down and 18, Kirk Cousins throwing up a prayer to Jay Jettis. And again, a game I saw a lot, I was watching live. This catch is absurd because if you're the Bills defender, how do you not reel that in? You got two hands on the ball, and Jay Jettis with one snags it over. Wild stuff. And, of course, number one, I think everybody can guess it. It's, of course, going to be the OBJ catch, which this kind of just led to, and when a Madden cover, and whenever you think of one-handed catches, you, of course, think of this OBJ catch. I think what's so impressive about this catch is also not just the jersey grab, but his ability to stay in bounds. Because if he would have caught this out of bounds, like OBJ has had a lot of great catches out of bounds when he played the Washington, when he was completely out of bounds on it. But for him to shrug off a defender, stay in bounds, and catch this basically on his fingertips, and if you've ever felt an NFL ball, it is not just like a Nerf ball where you could palm it. It is huge, and it's like, it's velocity and everything. Plus, you're in New York. It's not the hottest town in the world. So OBJ, that's crazy, and that's the number one catch. And this has been Hitting the Field Main Show. I've been your main show host, Dominic Moller. Thank you so much to my guests, and thank you so much to everybody behind the scenes. And shout out Jack, camera operator. And that is all the time we have. See you guys next week. Take care.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.